Well, God bless you. Listen, thank you so much again. I want to share with a message to you entitled, Church Has Just Been Robbed. My goodness. Let's go ahead and listen as God speak to our hearts with this message entitled, Church Has Just Been Robbed. Let's listen. Matthew chapter 23. Verse 23. Matthew 23, verse 23. When you find it, say amen. Woe unto you, scribes, Pharisees, and hypocrites, for you pay tithes of mint, anise, and cumin, and have omitted the weightier matters of the law, judgment, mercy, and faith. These ye ought to have done, and not leave the other undone. Thank you so much. Shake somebody's hand and look at them straight in the eye and say, neighbor, breaking news. The church has just been robbed. Thank you. You may be seated. Most of us, we move and do things based upon recommendations. Some of you are buying or riding in automobiles now that was recommended by someone else. Some of you get your hair fixed every week, every other week, because girlfriend recommended her beauty shop, a beautician, to you. Some get their hair cut because a barber was recommended. You go to different restaurants on Sunday because somebody you trust said the food is good over there. There are those that have visited this church and are sitting here now because someone recommended New Salem to you. We do many things through recommendations. But many times there are things we should recommend, we're silent. We see our brother and our sister struggling financially, and we just try to ignore it and push it under the rug and says, not my business, I'm gonna let you handle that by yourself. But many years ago, you found the solution. That when you decided to trust God, and you have to trust him when you can't trace him. And there are certain things in life you can't see with the naked eye. But if you are a believer, we're people that live by the word of God. We're different. We are a royal priesthood. We are a chosen people. We are a peculiar people. We do things other folk don't do. Somebody hit us on the right cheek, we turn the left. Somebody asks us to go 1 mile, we go 2. We love enemies. We pray for people that despitefully use us. We're different people. We move in spite of circumstances. Others will get mad at their enemies. We take enemies and use for footstool. We are a different people. God has set us aside to set us apart to do a holy work. And so our job does not stop with us. God sends blessings to us so he can channel blessings through us. And so when we have found the answer and solution, we must be willing to share it with somebody else. Talk to me, somebody. We must always do this, and I'll rush to the text, that whenever we see any passage in the Bible, we must ask several questions. Is it the divinely inspired written word of God? That's the first question. The second question I must ask is, how do I fit into the text? And the third is, I rush to put it in the practice. That's the first thing. The second thing, I must ask myself daily, not weekly, not monthly, not yearly. The first question I should ask every morning I get up, where is God? And the answer is, he's in me. The next question, what is God doing? The answer is, he's working. What is he working? His will. Why is he working his will? Because it pleases him. It's not what I do to please me, but what I can do to please him. Because if God is pleased, it makes no difference who's displeased. And if God is displeased, it makes no difference who you please. Too many of us are in trouble financially because we spend money we don't have on stuff we don't need, trying to impress folk we don't even like. Preach from Ray. And get ourselves bogged down. It's got to be something going on when a person on a fixed income can take care of her mortgage, pay their utility bill, pay their phone bill, and every time you go to the house, they got some food to feed you. And here's a joke over here working 3 jobs. Talk to me, somebody. And ain't got nobody else in the house and struggling every day. It's got to be a God thing. It's not a financial thing. Talk to me, somebody. Evidently, you're out of step with God, because God can bless you wherever you are. God plus any number is a majority. And when we see our families struggling, our friends struggling, too many of us that's got it together don't share what we have with others. That's why I wanted to walk through this text again and share with us, because I'm not trying to convince you here at Salem to tithe, because you already tithing. I thank God that the majority of you sitting in here pay God a dime out of every dollar. Thank God for you and what you're doing and your commitment to God, but the buck stopped with you. You're not sharing it with somebody else. Oh, you just tell them I tithe, and sometimes you don't even bring it up. You don't even want them to know, but some things you have to shout it out. Y'all don't like me. You have to shout it out, because I don't want to see nobody suffer. I don't want to see a person struggling. I'll help you if I can, but if a person is cursed, you can't bless them. Y'all don't like me. If God has cursed you, you can go borrow all the money you want to borrow. You can find all the friends to help you. They can't get you out of it, because God got his hand on you. And when God put his hand on you and you can't go nowhere, you might well leave him alone until they get out from under the curse. You either blessed or cursed. So I thought I'd bring it up since I got you here. And you will expose yourself if you get up and walk out. You let the cat out of the bag and somebody will know the truth. I say often that we have wonderful security outside and we got them positioned all over the church inside, but the biggest problem is not on the outside. Ain't no stealing and robbery going on out there. It's going on in the house. The problem is that when one rob or steal, it's bad enough to do it, but it's worse when it's your daddy. I mean, can you imagine raising a child up, feeding them, sending them to school, giving them the best that money can buy, and they turn around and rob you? Can you just visualize that in your mind? You got somebody you birthed from your own womb. You nurtured them from your own breasts. You changed their dirty diapers. You got up at night when they were sick and hurt, and they grow up and turn around and rob you. Well, that's exactly what you do when you fail to tithe. Because it was God that introduced your mama to your daddy. It was God that allowed the egg to fertilize. It was God that kept the little bones and muscles together, allowed you to grow and nurture and mature and come out a real child. It was God that regulated your mind. It's God that keep you breathing right now. It's God that kept your enemies off of you. It's God that's feeding you right now and keeping you out of the hospital, keeping you from having strokes and heart attacks. Ain't nobody doing that but God. But to turn around and stick a God up to your father and say, stick him up. Preach from rash. Let me give you something so you can hold on to, so you can bless somebody else. That when church is over, when you're out sitting at the restaurant, eating your steak and potatoes. Talk to me, somebody, and your peach cobbler or your cheesecake. While you're out eating your lobster tail, take time and discuss what you picked up today with somebody that you can bless. Because you got some folks, they are freeloaders. They go out with you, but they always left their credit card at home. They left their money in the other pockets. Y'all don't like me in this house. Always want to go eat, but they ain't got nothing to pay. They always want to, and then when you do decide it, they want to go Dutch, you know. They take care of theirs. You'll say, my goodness, ain't been no Dutch all these times. I've been paying all the bill. Now it's your time. Angela, she got to go. She'd already told me she had to leave. She got to go to work. So that's why I know all the members by name, so I can call them out if one get up. What is tithe? Tithing is mathematical. Tithing is medical. Tithing is moral. It's mathematical because it's a dime out of every dollar. If you can master 10 cents, you can master anything else. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, or 0. If you can master that, 10% of whatever God blesses you with, it belongs to God. Now, when I first started going to church, I had a problem with it because I, like you, thought that the preacher got it. I ain't giving that preacher my money. No. If you knew what the preacher was getting, you've been paying a long time ago. And mind you, he's the only one that you do that to. You never question your physician. You ain't never been by your physician's house to see where he lives. You never pull around behind your physician's clinic to see what they drive. Y'all don't like me in this house. You never do that with your attorney. You don't care what they're driving. You just want them to get you through. But Pope Preacher, you say, oh no. You do know that's a trick of the devil. It's not only mathematical, it's medical. Because years ago, whenever a baby was born, they would count the baby's fingers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and count the baby's toes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. If the baby had 10 fingers and 10 toes, that means the baby was total, was whole. You see, the dime represents the whole. You see, the devil will have you looking at the 10 cent and making you forget the 90. And here's what God is trying to do. He's trying to find some people he can trust. You see, God ain't never broke. Talk to me, somebody. Let me tell you why I say that. Because that's why I'm looking at about 20 of you in here, been off from work for a year and still eating. You ain't got set out of your house yet. Your utilities still being paid. Talk to me, somebody. It wasn't your job that kept the doors open. It was your God. And God can shut you down whenever God get ready. Am I here by myself? It's mathematical. It is medical. It is moral. Because Leviticus chapter 27 verse 30 said tithing is holy. Shout holy one time. Now, I need to tell you something. Don't get in trouble with a holy God. There was a fellow by the name of Belshazzar. Belshazzar, he got so bad until he took the vessels of the temple and he poured wine in the vessels and offered up to idol gods with God's vessels. And the Bible said the same day there came forth the finger of a man's hand, and he wrote on the plaster of the wall, that's found in Daniel chapter 5, and said, many, many tekel Euphrasia, which means you have been weighed in the balance and found wanting. Don't get in trouble with God with something that's holy. Talk to me, somebody. You see, because what happened when you take the dime and give to God, God turn around and take the 90 cent and stretches it. You see, when you take God out, you're trying to operate with a dollar without God. It's like sitting in a chair without a bottom. It's like a plane without wings. It's like heaven without the sky. It's like mathematics without numbers. It's like history without facts. Talk to me, somebody. When you leave God, God is not broke. He don't need your money. But you need your God. Am I putting y'all to sleep in this house? God can make it without your money, but you can't make it without God. God got so many cows till he stopped counting the cows and just start counting the hills. Psalms 50 verse 10 said, the cattle on 1,000 hills belong to me. Haggai 2 and 8 said that all the gold and all the silver is mine, said the Lord. That's why the Lord can let you make your $100,000 a year and let somebody over here make $10,000 a year and they living better than you. Because God plus any number is a majority. Am I doing all right in this house? Is there any witnesses in here can testify? Say, I didn't have nothing and God provided for me. I'm going to be all right here in a moment. It is morally. He got so many cows. Got the silver and gold all belong to him. And since he got it, how many know he'll let you have some? I started paying my tithes when I was 20 years of age. And 52 years later, I'm still doing it. Y'all don't like that. And can I tell you, you got something that come along with you when you pay your tithes. You got a security factor. Because listen to what it said. I will rebuke the devours for your sake. Anybody know me that's been close enough around me know that my devours have been rebuked. Oh, they tried to get me. Y'all don't hear me in this house. But I stood back and watched God destroy them. And I'm still standing. He will rebuke. Let me go on. One thing that I discovered in the Bible, if you have any question with any text in the Bible that have tension in it, just find out the very first time it was mentioned. You see, Malachi 3 and 10 is not the first time tithing was mentioned. It was mentioned in Genesis chapter 14, verses 18 through 20. It was when Abraham paid tithes to Melchizedek. Melchizedek is an act of Christ. Paid tithes because of him being victorious over war. In other words, he paid tithes out of an act of gratitude. That's the first time tithing was mentioned, was Abraham was grateful to God. So if that's the case, so whenever I pay my tithes, it is out of an act of gratitude. I don't know about y'all, but it's dangerous when somebody bless you and you're not grateful. I mean, you getting ready to get walked away from when somebody, have you ever seen people that you have tried to help and they were ungrateful? They didn't even have enough sense to tell you thank you. You be riding down the street and you stop. You're in a hurry yourself. You stop and let somebody in the traffic. You didn't have to do it. And they just pull on in there and don't ever wave their hand and say thank you. You be saying, they won't get it again. That's what God says when God said, listen, I have blessed you. I have blessed your children. I bless your mama and bless your daddy. I've kept you out of trouble. They wanted to fire you. I kept you from getting fired. Talk to me, somebody. A stroke was getting ready to happen. I carried that off. Heart attack was right around the corner. I stopped you from having, and you're going to walk away from me without being grateful. I know it's hard, but it's God. Do I have any help in this house? It is out of an act of gratitude. I don't know about y'all, but I'm grateful. I don't have to have cars and cash and commodities and creature comforts to know I'm blessed. When I stand and look in the mirror, God gave me 263 bones, 600 muscles, 970 miles of blood vessels, 32 feet of intestines, 32 teeth in my mouth, eyes like cameras. Every time they flash, take a picture, send it to the brain to be developed. A heart that beat from 60 to 80 times a minute on an average of 72 times per minute. A tongue with 400 cups that can pick up the sweets and the sours. 20,000 tiny hairs in my ears that can pick up the highs and the lows. A hand with 27 bones that represent the 27 books of the New Testament. Talk to me, somebody. He gave me red cells and white cells. Red cells are large in number and smaller in size. White cells are large in size, smaller in number. Here's how they work. I'm outdoors working on a project. I missed the project, got a hammer and hit my finger. And when I hit the finger instantly starts swelling. The swelling is the white cells. They left their camp. They come to the recovery of my finger. They die for the recovery of my finger. You'll see a little pus coming out. That's the death of the white cells. Once they die for the recovery of my finger, they email the red cells.
Well, God bless you. Did you know that Jesus talked more about giving than he do about salvation? Simply because by nature we are stingy. When it comes to God, we want blessings from God, but we don't want to share with God our blessings. God sent blessings to us so he can channel blessings through us. You need to get a copy of this message so that you can listen to it again and again. Don't take my word for it. Listen to what God has to say to you in this message. You can call us 1-800-375-4007. Go to godisgoodministry.net or call us 1-800-375-4007 and we will respond to you. Again, thank you so much. God bless you. And for you, we're praying.